T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected to his actions.
Out on him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know, it just, he just don't.
The dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting has gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
The story of King Harris has taken a dark turn that nobody saw coming, and it's shaking the foundation of one of hip-hop's most famous families. At just 20 years old, this young man finds himself at the center of a crisis that goes far beyond a simple legal mishap. What started as a routine traffic stop has spiraled into something that has his family in pieces, fans holding their breath, and social media ablaze with theories that get darker by the hour. The sequence of events began innocuously enough. King was driving his BMW out of a gas station when he nearly clipped a police cruiser. Officers approached the vehicle and immediately noticed something was off. There was a distinct smell in the air, and their attention quickly shifted to the firearm King was carrying on his hip. A routine name check revealed something he probably hoped had been forgotten. An outstanding bench warrant from Pickens County connected to a DUI charge from August 2022. He'd been driving with a suspended license back then, and when he skipped his arraignment in September, that warrant became active. What might have been a minor encounter suddenly became a serious legal problem with receipts already on file. The dynamics of parenting in the public eye make this situation particularly complex. Most children don't have their mistakes broadcast to millions of people. Most families can deal with their issues behind closed doors, away from cameras and commentary. But when you're born into a dynasty that built its brand on reality television and public personas, every misstep becomes a spectacle. The world watches, judges, and dissects every decision. And in King's case, his response to being arrested has only intensified the conversation. His defiant attitude and inflammatory statements haven't helped his situation, leaving people wondering why someone who grew up with privilege would choose such a destructive path. What happened next is where things get truly disturbing. In less than 24 hours, King was shuffled between 3 different facilities: Dunwoody, Dalton, and Pickens County. Somewhere in that shuffle, between the steel bars and the cold processing procedures, something went terribly wrong. Hours after his arrest, he was rushed to the hospital in a comatose state. The official explanation was a jailhouse altercation, but that explanation satisfied almost nobody. The timeline simply doesn't add up. How does a nonviolent offender, especially one with a high profile, end up in intensive care before the paperwork is even complete? Guards claim they saw nothing unusual, but the absence of a mugshot and the skipped perp walk only make the whole situation look more suspicious. This isn't just about one reckless young man making bad choices. This is about the potential collapse of an empire built over decades. King Harris is the son of 2 entertainment legends. His father established himself as a dominant force in Southern hip-hop, while his mother came from a successful group and helped build a reality television brand that turned their family's hustle into appointment viewing for millions. They flipped their personal lives into a money-making machine and made entrepreneurship itself look aspirational. But now that carefully constructed image is cracking under the weight of scandal after scandal. The warning signs had been flashing for months before this hospitalization. Last November, there was a viral incident at Mercedes-Benz Stadium that exposed deep fractures in the family dynamic. It wasn't just a disagreement. It was a father physically restraining his son while the entire confrontation played out live on Instagram. The exchange was brutal and revealing. When King claimed he hadn't grown up privileged, His father countered with a pointed question about whether he'd ever woken up with a roach on his face. His mother jumped in with an embarrassing revelation about childhood habits that should have remained private. King kept pushing back, making accusations about fake family narratives, secrets, and substance use. His mother tried to physically remove him from the situation, while his father, jaw clenched, told him he was embarrassing himself. The phone camera captured every chaotic second, and the world watched a family unravel in real time. Just before his arrest,
me and my dad, man, we had a relationship. Like, it was like to the point to where he know me, I know you. But it was almost like Ghost and Tariq in Power, bro.
Yes, that's right. Lawyer Tyrone Blackburn is going to authorities, asking and encouraging state and federal prosecutors to start a criminal investigation into T.I. and Tamika Harris, a.k.a. Tiny, on behalf of 11 accusers.
With King. First off, the kid's a menace, right? He goes around. No, I'm serious. Yo, King, listen. King goes around terrorizing the community of Atlanta, bro. That's a fact, bro. I'm serious, bro.
King posted a photo showing a swollen eye ringed with a fresh bruise. He captioned it with laughing emojis and a comment about still having his chain, trying to play it off as no big deal. But people weren't buying the casual dismissal. 2 days before the chaos, he'd gone live while driving, smoke filling the car, and his grandmother, the family matriarch, had commented pleading with him to stop smoking so much. His response was a quick apology and declaration of love, but the tension was palpable. This is someone who grew up with 7 siblings under constant surveillance from reality show cameras. Instead of stability, he developed a reputation for chaos. Then came October, and what should have been a joyful milestone. A lavish baby shower with a Lion King theme for King and his partner. The event was elaborate, with gold-draped tables, multi-tiered cakes, professional maternity portraits, and balloons in blue and gold cascading everywhere. His mother posted proudly about becoming a grandmother, expressing pure excitement about her grandson's arrival. On the surface, it looked like the family was securing its next generation, ensuring the dynasty would continue. But behind the celebration, rumors began circulating almost immediately. Social media lit up with speculation about paternity tests and suggestions that King might not be the father. What was meant to be a golden moment became clouded by suspicion and gossip. His mother tried to push back against the rumors on Instagram, demanding to know how strangers could possibly know anything about their private family decisions. But no amount of defensive responses could hide the strain showing on everyone's faces. And the timing made everything worse. July had been meant as a celebration of anniversaries and milestones, with his parents posting romantic photos from Thailand and declarations of enduring love. Instead, an old adversary returned to the spotlight with explosive new accusations. Sabrina Peterson, a name connected to previous legal troubles for the family, made claims on Instagram that sent shockwaves through social media. She alleged she had evidence of human trafficking that implicated not just his parents, but King himself. Her post was incendiary, claiming federal authorities already possessed this information and threatening to release direct messages. Stories involving young women, allegations of substances being forced on victims, and claims of a family-wide conspiracy. This wasn't coming from nowhere. Over 15 people had previously stepped forward with allegations serious enough that MTV canceled the family's reality show before it could even properly launch. Multiple district attorney offices opened investigations over the years, though they eventually closed without charges when deadlines expired. Throughout it all, his parents maintained their innocence, calling the accusations fake and refusing to be intimidated. But as lawsuits accumulated and accusations kept surfacing, the spotlight turned increasingly toward the next generation.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal
of drugging and assaulting women. Rapper, actor, and businessman Clifford T.I. Harris, along with his wife, Tamika Tiny Cottle, they're being named in a massive...
You're not this. You're not this. And then I'm going to him saying, bro, why you doing that? Why you even doing that? He like, bro, the point is to make them think that you're not this. That's the whole goal. So
The gap between the family's polished public image and their messy private reality had become impossible to ignore. While his parents posted anniversary photos and declarations of unbreakable love, their son was live-streaming chaos and posting cryptic photos of injuries. One minute his father was expressing excitement about his future grandson, promising to raise him right. The next, that same son was broadcasting family dysfunction from an NFL suite and wearing his bruises like badges of honor. Now, with King lying in intensive care at Grady Memorial Hospital, Atlanta's rumor mill has gone into overdrive. Whispers suggest this was no ordinary jail fight. Stories are circulating about masked figures spotted near his hospital room, about men in maintenance uniforms loitering outside the ward right before security cameras mysteriously went dark for 20 minutes. Hospital administrators have remained silent, offering no explanations. Meanwhile, his father, usually so controlled and strategic with public relations, was reportedly seen raging in a hallway, smashing furniture in frustration. His mother, who just weeks earlier was glowing at her new grandson's arrival, has been spotted sobbing and desperately seeking answers from medical staff. The speculation has grown even darker. There are unverified claims about his ventilator being tampered with, about life support equipment failing, about unmarked vehicles in the parking lot, and security footage mysteriously disappearing. None of this has been confirmed, but in a city where everyone seems to know someone who works at the hospital, the rumors feel disturbingly real. People are asking whether this is simply the consequence of reckless choices and one violent encounter, or whether something far more sinister is at play. The psychological warfare between father and son has been playing out publicly for years. Their most infamous confrontation at that football game wasn't just a messy family moment, it was a generational collision. A self-made patriarch who survived decades of controversy was mocking his own son, reminding him of childhood vulnerabilities while millions watched. The son, desperate to prove he wasn't soft or pampered, kept insisting he was cut from tougher cloth. The physical restraint that followed felt symbolic. A crown being denied before it could even be claimed. A brutal reminder that legacy isn't simply inherited. This pattern has repeated itself over and over. Every time King tries to prove he grew up in harsh conditions rather than privilege, his father pushes back. Every attempt to build his own mythology, separate from the family brand, gets met with resistance. The tension isn't just personal. It's about identity, masculinity, and who gets to define what the family name means going forward. For the public, it's been uncomfortable entertainment they can't stop watching. But for the family, it's an identity crisis playing out with catastrophically high stakes. The whispers have recently taken an even more disturbing turn. 3 sources connected to Atlanta's music scene claim his hospital blood work showed traces of substances that shouldn't have been there. Yet no doctor has explained what those substances were or how they got into his system. One insider has stated plainly that this goes beyond family drama into dangerous industry politics. According to someone who worked in the industry, King had been talking about revealing names, not just of artists, but of powerful executives. The theory that emerges from this is chilling. What happens when someone threatens to expose industry secrets? In just 48 hours, Grady Memorial Hospital has transformed into a focal point for public anger and fear. Protesters have flooded the surrounding streets with handmade signs demanding protection and justice. Mothers with children have marched alongside longtime activists wearing vintage family merchandise. The crowds grew so large that police deployed riot gear and helicopters circled continuously. As evening fell, chants echoed off the hospital's glass exterior, loud enough to rattle windows in the intensive care unit. Inside, sources say the family has been briefed on all possible outcomes, with doctors using words like prepare and decisions, the kind of clinical language that carries devastating implications. But something larger has emerged from this crisis. King has transformed from just another celebrity child making headlines into a symbol. He represents every young artist who gets chewed up by an industry that presents a friendly face while operating with ruthless calculation behind the scenes. Social media has been flooded with retrospective content. Clips of him as a child, his most controversial moments, tender footage from his son's baby shower, his mother's emotional embraces, his father's rare displays of vulnerability. It's all being woven into a single narrative about a young man caught between legacy and self-destruction, between family expectations and personal identity. The battle for his life has morphed into something that transcends one family. It's become a fight against a system that many believe protects the powerful while silencing those who threaten to speak uncomfortable truths. For the tens of thousands chanting outside the hospital, this family's pain has become representative of something much larger. Just when it seemed the situation couldn't get more intense, an allegedly leaked recording surfaced. The audio, supposedly from a corrections officer with a distorted voice, contains a chilling statement suggesting that if he talks, everything falls apart, and he can't be allowed to survive. It's brief, but it's spread across social media like wildfire. Some dismiss it as just someone venting frustration, but others see it as confirmation that someone wanted him silenced before he could leave custody, let alone survive hospitalization. The world is now left staring at fragments of a puzzle that only grows darker with examination. Was this simply another case of a privileged heir making reckless choices and facing consequences? Or did he stumble into knowledge that made him dangerous? If the full truth emerges, can his parents' empire survive the fallout? The family now walks a razor-thin line between redemption and total collapse. The final chapter of this story remains unwritten, and in this family's world, nothing is ever truly settled. Every move could be the one that either saves or destroys everything they've built.